gonna do it because where is it? Friday. Hold on. There we go. I forgot to do the banner, but that's okay. We're here now. I'm Jess Bryant, and my special guest tonight is my good friend and yours, Emily Lavadier. Hi.
Hey, Fran. Uh-oh. Did my internet?
What's happening? Say something.
Hello?
You're not freezing to me. If you're not. Yeah, I can see you just fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's already creepy.
Oh my God! It's
Emlav,
a whole superstar. What? You know what? Thank you. I enjoy this hat. Can you see it? It's got a little crooked on it. Happy Halloween, everyone! Happy spook season. Emlav, if my memory serves, and I believe it does.
It does usually.
This is your favorite time of year besides Christmas.
You know, from like September through December, I am thriving. This is my Halloween Christmas tree. Home goods, baby.
Very cool. I love it. I like that you have a little set decoration happening.
Yeah.
I couldn't find a tea light to fit inside my little glass skull tea light holder. I'm very sad. If this one's all burned out. Oh well.
The spirit is there.
The spirit is there. It's true. I love this season myself. You and I, maybe people in the audience know this, but a fraidy cat Emlav. I love that. Emlav and I both went to college at Salem State, so we spent 4 years and then some doing the Salem, Massachusetts thing. So we are well accustomed to what it's like. The spoopy season. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know. I just got to adjust it a little bit. You know. Listen, it's a $5 hat. What did I expect?
It's a good hat. It's better than some of the ones they sell in ye old Salem town.
Indeed, right? Can you imagine if I bought this in Salem? It would have like one piece of ribbon coming off of it. I always forget that we're mirrored. It would have one piece of ribbon coming off of it, and it would have been $20 instead of.
Or it would be like one of those tiny hats, like
yes,
tomato hats.
A tiny hat. Hi, Bryce. How's it going? Yes, Bryce also went to Salem State, and
we are family.
Yeah. We are family. We all did the Salem shit. I worked at the House of the Seven Gables, probably one of the most boring of all of the Salem, Massachusetts theater kid jobs you could have. Emlav, what did you do?
Oh, shucks. I also worked in the Salem tourism industry at the Witch Dungeon Museum.
Ooh, my goodness. And Bryce, what did you do? Put it in the chat. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know you did something. Emlav, do you still do the trolley? Do you still do that for Christmas?
We didn't do it last year, obviously. But I will be doing it again this year, and I'm very excited.
Oh, Mrs. Cratchit, am I right? Is that who? Oh no, you're Mrs. Cratchit.
This is Cratchit and Mrs. Dilber.
And Mrs. Dilber, of course, wonderful, yes. All right, well, this evening Avast wants me to keep my privacy in tip-top shape. Not gonna happen. I walked from downtown to the college through the point once. Spooky, yeah. Ooh. Yeah, could be. One time, Emlav and I dropped off her trash in people's half-full trash cans in the point when she was moving. And we got followed around by the cops, and it was a little hairy there for a second.
I feel like after that, people started locking dumpsters.
That's just your perception. But I do love the idea of a pair of just very funny to me. The idea of a pair of white college girls going around the fucking point doing something illegal. That is hilarious.
We did so many vaguely illegal things.
I know, just like dipping our toe.
Oh yeah,
just, petty larceny, minor vandalism, and throwing our trash in other people's trash. But yes, I fucking love the Halloween season. I feel like every year I build it up in my brain, and it's never as good as I want it to be, especially with the pandemic and everything happening. But despite that, Emlav, what do you have any exciting plans this year, or what's one of your favorite Halloween spooky things to do? What's something that gets you a little spooked in the season of the year?
Oh shucks. I mean, I do have a soft spot for just walking around Salem when you
Ooh.
can barely move, and just looking at all the creeps and weirdos in their costumes, like keeping on my toes to make sure I don't get stabbed.
Yeah, you don't want to get your pocket picked, or you got to be careful. You might get saved by the Jesus people. You got to watch out for that too.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not there to get saved. Yeah, walking around downtown Salem, that's, for me, not particularly spooky, but
That's
it's fun.
spooky.
It's fun. I appreciate it. Um, I think for me the classic thing is just to watch some spooky movies.
Oh sure, yeah.
Uh, what genre of Halloween spook movie gets you the most spooked? Would you say it's like a particular type of monster, or like a psychological thriller, or like a gore horror?
Oh gosh, yeah. I'd say more now. Like I've come back around on the things that like really used to scare. Like I was not a Chucky fan for a real long time, but I've come
Oh
back around
yeah,
on him. I like Chucky now. But yeah, I think yeah, the really gore stuff, like the torture porny stuff, like that's like too much. It's just too
that's
spooky.
funny. Yeah, see, that stuff doesn't scare me as much. I feel like I'm definitely like horrified by it, right? It
Yeah.
definitely is like a ugh, like a ugh
Well,
feeling
there's
inside me.
that
More of
stigma of,
a
like, you just go into a place and, like, it seems fine, but then there's fucking crazy people who are just there to, be horrible to you.
yeah, I guess. I don't know. That doesn't spook me. What I think ghosts, and that's not. I'm not just saying that
You
because
trying to
that's
make
the
a
episode.
segue? Do you just want me to say
I'm,
ghost? Because 'Cause I'll
there's a
say go.
little bit. I'm gonna segue it for you. I would say, for real though, not just for the sake of the segue. God, I had one sip of a Truly and now I can't stop burping. Sorry, everyone. Um, yeah.
What's up?
That. Oh no, my hat. I do feel like ghosts are one of the things that actually scares me the most. You know, stuff like, or like poltergeist too, which is also on the edge of ghostiness. Um, I would say, yeah, the jump scare, that's definitely the
Yeah,
kind of thing that gets me the most.
not a jump scare
Absolutely.
person.
Yeah. Also like the psychological thriller, that kind of thing, definitely, like where you're just like on the edge of your seat the whole time, like, oh, ah, when you like the tension is high. That gets me.
I
So go
I was gonna
ahead.
say, having worked at the witch dungeon, which was, like, allegedly haunted, not because it was the real dungeon, but because it was, like, an old church and that had its own spirits going on. But, yeah, being in the dungeon alone was a thing that I was definitely afraid to do.
Yeah, actually, MLab, I think we're gonna get there halfway. What I would like to do is so this evening we're gonna be talking about ghosts and ghouls. I have not seen Mirror House. That's exciting. I'll have to look it up. Uh, we're gonna be talking about ghosts and ghouls. I have two true ghost stories for you,
True.
as true can be. I think maybe I'll tell one, which is somewhat wholesome. Then maybe you and I can spin some of our own personal spoopy yarns if you have any. If you've got anything, I can think of one or two.
Alright.
And then we'll go on to the one that is much less wholesome. So this week I did not do a PowerPoint. I didn't do one, but you know what? I might be able to share some pictures anyway. Hold on, let
Ooh.
me pull us some. Well, we'll do that later. So here is the very true tale of Mrs. Woodman, the spirit of Mrs. Woodman. Here we go. Donalyn and Jeff Kahn and their 4-year-old daughter Julielle moved into a newly renovated home in Newton, Massachusetts
Alright.
in the early 2000s. The old Victorian house was built in 1877, but had been stripped down to the studs and rebuilt. The Kahns moved their things and settled in, looking forward to enjoying their new happy home. A house built in 1877 is going to have its creaks and quirks, and this one was no different. The Cons would sometimes hear tapping on the walls or what sounded like footsteps in the hall. Sometimes the TV or dishwasher would turn on or off on their own, but an electrician couldn't figure out why. They didn't think too much of it at first. Then one day, as Donalyn was asking her daughter about her day, Julielle mentioned something strange. She said she'd been talking to the lady. What do you mean you're talking to the lady? Her mother asked. I'm talking to Mrs. Woodman, and she's upstairs, Julielle replied. First of all, we've got a little kid, right? Classic.
The ghosts always talk to the kids.
Classic ghost thing, right? That I know Ben and I have talked about that in the past, where when you're a child, for some reason, you're able to see past the veil a little bit more than adults can. And as you get older, you're less and less able to do that. Same thing happens to Julielle, as we're about to find out. The little girl would continue to talk about Mrs. Woodman for weeks. She described her as an older woman with gray hair. Quote, she always kept it in a tight bun on the top of her head. She wore a long dress and always wore stockings. Julielle said that Mrs. Woodman would speak to her, but that her lips wouldn't move. Mrs. Woodman told her that she had lived in the same house when she was younger, and that she loved children. The spirit insisted that Julielle call her Mrs. Woodman, and she wanted Julielle to put her hair up in a bun and wear a dress and tights, since it wasn't ladylike to wear pants. Hilarious.
Dated.
Yeah, right? A little dated, but you know what? Listen, as she's from the 1870s. What do you want from this woman? So at first, the Cons let it go. But when Julielle's kindergarten teacher called asking about Mrs. Woodman, they decided to look into it further. Julielle had been including Mrs. Woodman in drawings of her family at school. Quote, she would draw Mrs. Woodman and then she would scribble through her as if she was invisible or floating, Donalyn said. And this is absolutely true. I saw a picture of what she had drawn. It's like an orange, or there's two, but it's like a piece of construction paper with a bunch of stick figures on it. And then there's one with a long dress and a bun, and she's literally scribbled through the whole thing. It's like something out of The Ring. Yeah, it's upsetting. Like, you think that shit is fake? Nope, it's real. This actually happened somewhere around the year 2004. I am not a fan. So at this point, her parents are like, okay, what the fuck, right? Like, she's drawing it. She's talking about it all the time. She has all these details. She is like drawing in school. We need to figure this out. So the mom, Donalyn, took to the city's directories to see what she could find. At first, nothing. But then she got to the 1889 directory and found the names of a Dr. George and Mrs. Woodman that caused her to pause. How could she have known? Donalyn came home and asked Julielle, who is Mrs. Woodman? Julielle began divulging all sorts of details about Mrs. Woodman. She had 7 children, loved music, and would often sing or hum, and was friends with, quote, the poetry lady. She was happy that the Cons had redone the house and made it look pretty again, and that people in the home played instruments. Jeff and Donalyn Kahn decided to dig a little deeper to find information about the historical Mrs. Woodman, and discovered that Julielle had all of the details right. Mrs. Woodman was born Jane Gridley in 1830, coincidentally sharing an April 4th birthday with Julielle.
Oh.
She grew up in Amherst, Massachusetts, and married Dr. George Woodman, who built the house in 1877, where they had 7 children.
Oh.
Jeff said that her father said that this was not information you could even find on the internet. They had to go to the Newton Historical Society and pull records out of City Hall. Growing up, Jane had gone to Amherst Academy, where she met Emily Dickinson,
the poetry
lady. Dickinson mentions Jane Gridley in some of her letters. Another student of the Academy mentioned Jane in her diary, now published. She described her as the prettiest girl in Amherst and mentioned her lovely singing voice and piano playing. Julielle had encounters with Mrs. Woodman for 5 years. As she got older, Mrs. Woodman would tell Julielle that something was missing and that they needed to go and get something. They needed to go and buy something. But when Julielle asked for more information, Mrs. Woodman couldn't tell her what it was. The family took a trip to Amherst to see the Woodman family burial plot, found it, and discovered that Mrs. Woodman has no headstone. So now hi, Sensei Denny B. Dennis. I know, right? Now you won't sleep because of spooky things. So the family theory is that what Mrs. Woodman wanted was she wanted them to buy her a headstone, which they have not done yet. Like, what the hell? Julielle, now a college student, says Mrs. Woodman appeared to her in an orb of light when she was a child, and that she was never afraid. Quote, there would either be blue or a white sort of orb light thing floating around, and a face would appear in it, and then eventually the whole body would appear, but her feet were never on the floor. She was always floating, end quote. Jeff, Julielle's father, says he feels like he's more of a steward of the house, like he's just, quote, borrowing it from her for a short period of time, end quote. The long con! Garen, get out of here. Hilarious. I love it.
Well
King Senior, oh yes. Oh, absolutely yes. That house is haunted as shit.
Yeah.
See, I'm not a big believer in ghosts and shit, but when this kind of thing happens, it's like the reincarnation stuff. Like, how do you explain that? How do you explain a child names a real life person by name and then knows all of these details? Not only did she know that she had 7 children, but she knew the sexes of the children. She knew how many boys versus girls there were.
Yeah. She's not like reading a book. Like,
right. And it, like, this information was not readily available. So, like, they had to go dig for this information. Like, I don't know. And even now, even today, although the thing I saw was made from like 7 years ago, but she said, or the mom said, and the daughter, and the whole family said that even to this day, even though she doesn't talk to Mrs. Woodman anymore, like the TVs still go on and off, the dishwasher still goes on and off. They said that before they go to bed, they make sure that there's soap in the dishwasher just in case Mrs. Woodman decides to do the dishes while they're in bed.
How nice to have a ghost to do your dishes. Like, yeah, right? A living situation.
Right? But she grew out of it. So Kid Tempest asked, why don't they talk anymore? Because she grew out of it. That's what happens. Kids just like stop being able to talk to ghosts, I guess.
That's sad. Like, I don't know. Like, you'd want to think that, like, yeah, no, I have this connection with ghosts, that you wouldn't grow out of that, but I guess, I don't know.
Right?
I guess if everyone else thinks you're a little cray-cray, it might be something you'd repress.
I guess. So Emlav, do you have any creepy stories that you would like to share? Do you know anyone who's ever like experienced something creeptacular, or have you yourself, or maybe one of your parents?
Oh shucks. Yeah, my parents and myself, like I think maybe, I don't know, maybe I just let myself go carried away, but my mother claims that it was like before I came home from the adoption agency, but when my parents were like living just by themselves at 47 Kernwood, my mom claims that there were several nights where she would like hear like this sort of like knocking noise, and she would go downstairs, and we used to have this old rocking chair, and it would just be rocking of its own accord.
Oh,
like a hardwood
one of those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and she would hear like knobs jiggling. Like,
and this is at Kernwood, did you say?
At Kernwood, yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
How old is that house? Do you know?
The house was built in 1911. So
Okay.
it's fairly
Okay.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes on
Uh,
bikes. Well,
yeah.
that's upsetting.
Yeah, my mom also claims that she exorcised the ghost herself.
Oh God, what did she do?
She just, like, went into the dining room where the rocking chair was, and
Uh-huh.
just sort of,
Uh-huh.
like, yelled, like, ch at the chair and to the general ether, like, "Power of Christ compels you" kind of shit, like,
No, that's so funny.
but then she says it stopped.
Oh, well,
So, I don't
you know,
know.
sometimes I do feel like there's a little bit of, um, like confirmation bias, right? Where you like have decided that it's over. Exercise the ghost, Pilates. I like that. Uh, that's funny. Hmm.
Yeah.
My mom, I feel like moms. There's some ways in which our moms are quite similar. I feel like my mom is also one of those people who she's one of those people who thinks that you can just like will an illness away by
Mhm.
saying, "Illness, I don't have time for you. I don't have time for you, cold. So just go away." And I do think there is a measure of
Gross.
just believing that, right? That can cause you to feel better, but you know, it is what it is. Brycey Boy 1984 asks, "What's the difference between ghosts and ghouls?
That's a good
And are
question.
they friends?" Kit Tempest says, "Although it looks similar to the Old English word ghost and ghastly, it wasn't until the 1700s that ghoul became part of the language.
Mm.
The word was introduced to the West by the translation of 1001 Nights, sometimes known as Arabian Nights, into French. In the book, the Arabic word ghoul was used to describe an evil being who robbed graves and ate corpses." Gross.
Ew.
I don't like that at all. Oh, my mom is not the white mage from Final Fantasy. That's very funny, Dennis. If you knew my mom, I don't think that you would say that. Yes, exactly. She actively harnesses the placebo effect. Absolutely. She has
Mm.
decided that that's what she's going to do, and that's, you know what? And more power to her.
Yeah, that's basically what my mom did. She was just like, "Ghosts, in the name of Jesus Christ, you leave this house." Like, I don't have time for this.
That's really cute. I love the idea of Nan doing that.
Yeah,
Nance,
yeah. She'll stand her ground. But there
I
there
love
was
that.
one time at the witch dungeon, I used to work with this older woman who was like,
Yes.
yeah, Rita Parisi, like, very eccentric, like, she married this, like, wealthy man,
Uh-huh.
um, and so that, she could do, like, she could work on her one woman show about, Zelda Fitzgerald, but she was very, like, as she says it, like, casually into the occult, but she used
Oh.
to tell us, like, backstage at the witch dungeon that there was a ghost of a man who was like residing in the cellar, the dungeon of the building, and that he wore red pants, and that whenever she was down there
Yes.
alone, he would the red pants really got me.
Yes, that is the detail that always sticks out of my mind about this story. Okay, the red pants. He was wearing red pants, and when she would go downstairs, what was the next part?
He would like appear to her and sort of just like caress her like her face, and she says that they had an intimate connection.
All
And
right.
sure, red pants man, yeah, that could very well be. I never saw the red pants man, but there were times where I was in the dungeon and, like, by myself, which I would just kinda, like, not wanna, like, look any of the dummies in the eyes for too long because you never know. Uh, was it David Allen Greer?
It could
Mm,
have been. Wait, who's Della Dale? Who is that? We must know this human.
you, you there,
Yeah, right?
Salem
Damn.
State enthusiast.
Seriously. Was it David Allen George? You know what? It could have been.
I think we cracked the case.
Yeah.
For those who don't know David Allen George, he is
An
a force to be
eccentric,
reckoned with.
yeah, an eccentric theater teacher at professor,
Mm.
retired. from Salem State.
You roomed with
7,
Kevin
9,
Klein at
11.
Northwestern.
Oh my god, I forgot about Kevin Klein. That's funny. Hold on, I gotta vamp. I gotta.
So the red pants man in the dungeon, probably David Allen George. Hi Lloyd Legacy.
Oh, Lloyd's in the chat. Everyone put a rut row in the chat for Lloyd Legacy.
Throw up a rut row. So I don't think I ever saw the red pants man, but there was one part of the exhibit that like rounded a corner like before you could like see, the light of the stairs to like get back up to the main museum part of it. And I swear to God, like behind like the gallows exhibit, I did see like a shadow that I had never seen before.
Get
like
out.
Yeah. I don't know. Cannot confirm or deny whether or not red pants, but there was a freaky shadow that I was not prepared for.
Okay.
But like, so some people would come to the dungeon like just hearing that it was haunted. Like, I feel like that episode of Ghost Adventures kind of put that idea in people's heads. But like people would be in the dungeon just like taking pictures at flash photography, but they would like come to me with their like digital screens because it was just before like cell phone cameras.
Oh, right, of course. Yes, yeah.
And they'd be like, look, because there was that part where like the beam from the original dungeon was in the main floor there. And I would like point that out and then let people like explore the dungeon, and people would take a picture of the beam, but then they'd come to me and be like, look at this picture. And they'd be like, I think I see an orb. And it might have just been like dust, like in the way of the flash. But someone came to me once being like, look at this outline, like underneath the beam. And I was like, what do you, and I looked closer, and it really was like, and no one was standing there, and no one was like, it was a small tour, so there weren't a lot of people around who could have been casting shadow.
Yeah.
And there was like the legitimate outline of a person. Like no distinguishing traits, but I could see like head, head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Wait, eyes and ears and mouth and nose?
No.
Okay. Nice. All right, that is wild. As Kit Tippett says, better red pants than no pants. That's absolutely right. I agree. Wow. Okay, I didn't realize that you'd actually seen. You said a red shadow. It was red, like it was pants. Is that what you said? Like pants.
I still cannot confirm nor deny whether or not the shadow had like the red color pants, but I did see
Okay. Well, either way, very spooktacular. Gosh, I didn't have like a whole lot of I've never like seen anything myself. But I do remember one time. So like I said, I did tours. I was a tour guide at the House of the Seven Gables, which of course everyone says is haunted. House of the Seven Gables is the name of a novel written by Nathaniel Hawthorne, who was related to Judge Hathorne of the witch trials, but added the W to separate himself. And I believe I think the House of Seven Gables actually belonged to like his cousin or something.
Yeah.
But so he wrote that book, but the novel that he's most well known for is The Scarlet Letter. I believe. Would you say, Emlav, that that's the case?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
I like better,
but yeah, right. But anyway, it's an old ass house. It was built in like the 17 something like that.
Yeah,
it was
like
it's
early 1700s, late
early 1700s. I want to say, yeah. It's got a secret staircase, like a not so secret staircase. Yeah, right. It was post witch hysteria. I want to say it was like 1750, but I think it was earlier than that. Actually, I think it was earlier than that. Anyway, and so I was a tour guide, and you go up the secret stairs to get up to the attic, and I remember, that's exactly what happened. I had the tour go in front of me, and then I followed them up the secret staircase to get into the room. Shit, was it the room where the model of the house is. I think that's the room that it was. It doesn't matter. But anyway, so as I come up the secret staircase, I feel like something like touch me on the back. And it was enough that I like turned around and obviously no one was there. And I was like, well, I'm on a tour. Like, I don't have time to like think about this. So I just had to like keep right on trucking, you know, but it was a little spoopy. It wasn't super spoopy, but it was still just like, what the fuck? Like, you know, like sometimes your clothes will fold and you like feel something change, but it felt like more than that. It felt like something like actually reached out and like touched my back, and I was like
it was more weighted than that.
Yes, yeah. Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah. It was creepy.
But you were on a tour at the time?
I was giving a tour. I was leading a tour. Yeah, at the time.
And ghosts are just disrupting your mental focus?
I guess so, but whoever it was, they were coming up behind me. I think it was his cousin, the woman who they said haunted the place. It's been so long. It's been like over a decade now, but I don't know. Maybe she was just following me up the stairs and she was like, "Don't forget this part about the thing there." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I can't remember her fucking name. I remember her portrait, but I can't remember her name. Oh well.
If it comes to you, just shout it out apropos of nothing.
It won't. It's not going to. And then the other story that I have, which is a great story, I know that I've already told on this channel, and I'm sure you've heard the story as well.
I love a repeat.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell it anyway because we've got time. So the house where I grew up, my mom's lived there for 50 years. They moved in when my mother was pregnant with my brother, who just turned 50. And we're 14 and a half years apart. He was maybe 3 when this happened. It's not really a secret room, King Senior. The secret staircase in the House of Seven Gables is just like a servant staircase. You know, it's like you open up a wall and behind it is a stairwell up into the attic to get to like, you know, the servants' quarters. So my brother was maybe like 3 when this happened. The house was built. So I was at my mom's house doing some yard work, and we met a woman in her early 80s who said that who lived in the neighborhood and who said that she remembers when our house was built. So it's been built in the last maybe 60 years or so. So maybe like, I don't know. But anyway, doesn't matter because, well, I mean, it doesn't really. So yeah, so my parents moved in when my mom was pregnant. They had the baby, my brother. He's maybe like 3 years old, 2.5, 3 years old. He's sleeping in a crib in the room in the front of the house that's closest to the garage. So my house it's just my mom's house is a little rectangle. It's a ranch. And then, you know, but one side has the garage coming out of it, and my brother's bedroom, and what was eventually later my bedroom as well, was right here. So he started to have a hard time sleeping, especially when it was nap time. Not so much at night, but definitely nap time. And sometimes at night, he like just would refuse to go to bed because he said that there was a man, and he couldn't describe anything about it. He just kept saying, the man, the man. I recently got this new detail. One night, it was so bad, in fact, so my parents went out for, you know, on a date or whatever, and my grandmother, my father's mother, was babysitting. And when my parents came home, she was sitting there reading to him, and she'd been reading to him for like 2 hours, and he was sitting up trying not to fall asleep because he didn't want to fall asleep because of the man. So she's trying to get him to go to sleep. She's just sitting there reading to him. So come to find out, this story has like a funny twist, like a funny, terrible twist at the end.
Oh, no.
So My parents bought this house after a lesbian couple had lived there. And one of the women who was part of this lesbian couple one day decided that she did not want to walk upon this earth any longer. Closed the garage door, turned on the car, and carbon monoxide herself to death.
Oh.
So she commits suicide in the garage, in her car, doing the whole carbon monoxide thing. And so it occurs to me that it's totally possible that it could be her ghost. And the fact that she's a lesbian could possibly be relevant. Because maybe she had real short hair. And maybe she looked like a man to a 2.5-year-old child.
Oh boy, probably.
So not only was my brother haunted, but he was a fucking bigot about it.
Oh no.
What the fuck? So anyway, long story short, they bought him a bed, and when he moved from the crib to the bed, suddenly he was fine.
No, the ghost just got tired of being
yeah, right?
mistaken.
Like, what the fuck? Rude.
She kept coming back because she was pissed. Back.
Yeah, my brother is canceled for misgendering that ghost. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll toss his Twitter up here in just a second. Just kidding.
Happy 50th birthday. You're canceled.
You're canceled. Good stuff. So I think those are my only ghost stories. Do I have any other ones?
Oh my god, the man.
Any other ghost stories? I know, right? The man. Oh man. Yeah, right. Sometimes you just don't know if there was a death in your house. Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know how old I was the first time my mom told me the story, but I was like, sorry, excuse me? What? Okay.
My my aunt and uncle and my nana bought this like huge house in Amesbury back when I was like, I want to say like elementary school, and like my aunt and uncle still live there. They're trying to sell it, but like my parents like did not tell like any of like the cousins. Like I want to say I was like in high school when my mom was like, "Did you know that Nana, auntie, and uncle's house was a funeral home?" and I was like, no, because you never told us that.
Wow.
And she was like, well, we didn't want to scare you, but like that room in the basement where like, you know, like Uncle Mark made it like a man cave. That's where they did all of the embalming and stuff.
Holy shit. Was there like suspicious drains in the floor?
Yeah, which like
Damn!
I never thought twice about because I was like, oh well, those are in some basements, like whatever.
You gotta love me. I love me a suspicious drain. I gotta tell you. That's some good stuff. Wow, that's awful. Wait, whose house was this again?
My nana, my aunt. Oh, you were there. You went there once with me last summer. After my cousin Justin's show.
Yeah. Oh no. Okay.
But I didn't take you to the basement.
Yep, that totally makes sense. Yep. Okay. All right. Good to know. Well, great.
You've been in a funeral home and you didn't even know.
I guess so. Shit.
Yeah, the rest of it looks pretty unassuming.
Yeah, definitely. But knowing what every fucking place, every house in New England is fucking haunted in some way, right? Anyhow, that house looks like it's totally built like it was built in like 1830 or some shit, right? Like it's an Amesbury, right?
Yeah.
My grandmother used to the very same the one who read the stories also she used to live in a pink house, the big pink house with a turret. Yeah, right, in Amesbury. And it's the same, it's like that same like Victorian kind of style of like this is an old fucking house and there's some dead people fucking died in this house, man. Can you imagine? This country's so young. Our houses are what? 200, 250 years old, maybe a little more than that now. Maybe. In fucking England, those houses are so old.
Yeah.
Right?
Those houses are ancient.
There's like castles from 1,000 years ago. Jesus Christ. That shit's gotta be haunted.
Like, our ghosts are young.
Yeah,
even.
we have young I didn't even think about that. We have young ass ghosts over here.
I want to meet some old ghosts.
Yeah, I want to meet me an old ghost. My hat keeps popping up. All right. Speaking of ghosts, let's move on to story number 2.
Oh God!
And even though I don't have a PowerPoint, I do have. Let's see if we can make this happen here. There we go. Good enough. It's not great, but it's good enough.
This picture's
Phillip Peters was a retired man who lived in a quiet neighborhood in Denver, Colorado for many years when he retired from his job at the Denver and Rio Grande Western Railroad. He had worked there as an auditor for 40 years, and friends and coworkers described Phillip as kind, steady, and well-respected. He played the mandolin in a band on the weekends and was a member of the Denver Guitar Club. In September of 1941, his wife, Helen, broke her hip and spent the next 5 weeks in St. Anthony's Hospital recovering. Phillip, then 73, was left alone in the home, as the couple's adult son lived in Grand Junction, about 250 miles away. Hold on, I'm just checking. Okay. We're going to be staring at this for a little while. Not wanting Phillip to be left to his own devices, his neighbors invited him over for dinner so that he could have a home-cooked meal and some company while his wife was away. This was a nightly occurrence for 2 weeks. So when Phillip didn't arrive on the evening of October 17th, they knew something was amiss. When they went to his home to check on him, no one answered the doorbell. Okay, good. I thought I messed that up. They began to try doors and peek through windows when a girl found a window screen loose and pried it open. She crawled through the window and let out a shrill scream when she discovered Phillip's body dead on the bedroom floor, bloody and bludgeoned with a cast iron stove shaker that lay beside him. A stove shaker is like a long handle thing that you would like put on where the coal was underneath your stove and shake it. That's what that was. Anyway, he was beaten to death with one. This is a true story. Okay. He had been hit at least 30 times with more than a dozen wounds to his skull.
That would do it.
That sure fucking would. Horrified, the neighbors called the police. When police arrived on the scene, they were baffled. All the home's doors and windows appeared to be locked from the inside, and Phillip's watch and some money were on the dresser, ruling out robbery as a motive. In fact, reading this, one of the sources said that not only was his front door locked from the inside, but it was chained. The chain was across the door. Upon further investigation, police came up with 0 leads as to who could have done this to Phillip. He had no enemies to speak of, and there was no other evidence. His killer had simply vanished into thin air. Killed inside the house, all the doors and windows are locked from the inside. I feel like the phrase, all the doors and windows were locked from the inside, is a classic of like, Are You Afraid of the Dark style kids ghost story shit.
That's what I was going to say.
And it is integral, in fact, to this story. Creepy. Are you creeped out yet?
Oh, yeah.
Great. I love it.
Is there more?
Oh, of course there's more.
Oh, good.
The home lay empty for the next few months as Helen Peters, now a widow, continued to recover from her injury. Then in January 1942, a group of children passing the house on their way to school reported seeing a light on inside. Then a neighbor said she saw a ghostly face in a window, covered in shadow. The neighborhood decided the house was haunted before Helen ever came home. Helen returned to the house in February of 1942. She had lived there for 50 years and raised her small family there. She didn't want to leave. But then one night she saw something that startled her and fell, re-fracturing her hip.
Oh, God.
Now, there was nothing that said what it was that she saw that startled her. Perhaps she doesn't know. Perhaps, it was so fast, or because she refractured her hip, the pain made her forget. Who knows? So she went back to the hospital until April, but she was now bedridden and needed a nurse in her home. Unfortunately, it was difficult to keep the position filled for more than a few days. The nurses would hear strange noises, find things out of place, and even discover food missing. One reported seeing a spook on the back stairs that chattered its teeth at her. She fled the home in terror, saying she refused to work in a haunted house. Another resigned when she saw a bony hand sliding across an open door.
What?
Yet another heard something in the kitchen and went to investigate without turning on the light and saw a wraith-like ghost vanish at the foot of the stairs. Unable to keep a steady nurse, Helen decided to leave the home and move in with her son and his family in Grand Junction. But even though the house was now empty, the ghostly sightings did not stop. As spring wore on to summer, neighbors continued to witness and report strange goings-on at the Peters' old house. Lights going on and off, faces in the windows, strange lights and sounds, and even smells. Finally, in July, 2 officers from the Denver Police Department were stationed across the street to monitor the house. One evening, when the mail carrier arrived, the officers saw a face in the curtains of the home. It quickly disappeared, but both had seen it, and they rushed across the street to investigate. They slammed the front door open with their shoulders and burst into the home to search for the intruder. At first, they didn't find anything, but then came a noise from upstairs. They ran up the stairs and searched the rooms.
Don't.
Pulling open a closet door just in time to see a scrawny leg disappear into a small trapdoor in the ceiling. One officer grabbed the leg and pulled. Down fell a dirty, smelly, emaciated man in rags. He was Theodore Edward Coneys, a homeless drifter who had been living in the Peters attic for almost a year.
Oh my God.
He fainted upon hitting the floor, but after being cleaned up and fed at the precinct, he confessed to the murder of Phillip Peters. Coneys had met the Peters decades before at the Denver Guitar Club.
Oh my God.
He had spoken with Phillip many times and even had dinner at their home. One report even said there was still a photo of Coneys in the Peters home when he was discovered there. Coneys had fallen on hard times and had recently returned to Denver after fruitless stints in Chicago and New York. He decided to call on Phillip, hoping for a meal or to ask for some money. But when he arrived at the home one October evening in 1941, it was empty. Helen was in the hospital, and Peter was at dinner at the neighbors. Oh, sorry, Phillip was at dinner. Their last name was Peter. Phillip was at dinner at the neighbors. Coneys walked through the unlocked front door, found the attic trapdoor, and made a home for himself. That fateful night on October 17th, he thought he had heard Phillip leave to go to the neighbors. So he crawled down from his spider hole and made his way to the kitchen. He was rummaging in the icebox when Phillip found him and confronted him. Phillip probably didn't even have time to realize who the man was, because Coneys panicked, grabbed the cast iron stove shaker, and beat Phillip with it until he was dead, and then some. After investigating the small, filthy attic space where Coneys had taken up residence, one officer said, quote, "A man would have to be a spider to stand it long up there." And thus the Denver Spider-Man got his name. Coneys was charged with murder and convicted by a jury in October of 1942. He was imprisoned in Canyon City State Penitentiary where he stayed until his death on May 16th, 1967, at the age of 84. Denverite's killer caught heading for a haunted attic. 2 officers surprised Spectre, who had hidden in filthy cubbyhole at the home of Phillip Peters. Slayer's hideout in a home of victim like a rat's nest. There he is. The bars behind him. This is the house. The modest home at 3335 West Moncrief Place in Denver, Colorado. It's still there to this day. This is an officer. This is the hole in the floor. This is an officer poking his head up. This is the attic space that he was in. So it was quite small. Not enough room to stand or even kneel, really. And this is an artist's rendition of what they think it was like for him up there. Apparently, it smelled so bad that maybe this officer, maybe another one, when they came down, it was the guy who made the quote about the spider hole. Man would have to be a spider to stand it up there. He puked because it smelled so bad up there. Coneys had been storing his excretions, if you will, and had not had a shower the whole time. And this is the house. It is now listed on Zillow. It's actually it's quite a nice looking house, honestly, on Zillow. It's listed as off market currently, but is estimated to be valued at just under $1 million at $935,100.
Because a man was killed there by not a ghost.
But hold on, take a second, look at this. This up here, this triangle, this is where he was.
Oh, holy shit. Yeah, that
up
is
here.
Small.
So fucking tiny. So sometimes a ghost is a man. And sometimes that man kills you. What the hell? Man.
Spider-Man.
Look at this fucking guy's. Look at this guy's fucking. Look at this fuck.
Yeah.
Look at this guy.
He looks like an attic dweller.
Yeah, he sure does. Look at him. He's like spindly. He's tall and spindly and lanky. There was like a whole backstory on this guy in some of the stuff that I read, but I didn't want to give. I don't give a shit about. You killed someone. I don't give a shit what you. I don't care
because
how hard your life was. Fuck you.
Because he panicked. Like, dude, you know these people. Like,
right? You knew them. What's wrong with you? They were like nice to you in the past. Oh my god.
I'm just kind of bummed that like, what's his name? Who he killed didn't haunt the house. to freak out his attic dweller.
You imagine that would be a wonderful twist of revenge. I like that.
Right? Like if you get killed in your own house, like why wouldn't you haunt it? Especially if your murderer still lived there.
Right. So wild. So does this change your view on ghosts at all? Are you more afraid now than you were before?
Well, now I just think every ghost is a man.
You imagine they thought this house was haunted for months. For 9 months, people thought this house was haunted.
Well, see, this is just that different kind of scary I was talking about. Like, your place that you think is, like, safe. Like, your own home, for example.
Yeah!
And you're not even haunted by something otherworldly. It's literally a person.
Right? Well, we are terrifying.
Yeah, so true.
Humans are terrifying. Absolutely. I can't get over this house. I looked at the pictures on Zillow. Inside, it is gorgeous. It is a very nice looking home. 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Pull up the Zillow.
Yeah, right? So I know. Gorgeous, but fuck if I want to live there. I mean, I guess I did live in a house that was haunted by a fucking person who died there.
Yeah. Same, I guess. I never met the ghost of Kernwood. My mom exorcised them.
I know, right? I know. Part of me wants to like go back to my hometown and like get the city files, like whatever her name was, the Cons did about Mrs. Woodson or whatever her name was. Yeah, Mrs. Woodman.
Woodman, yeah.
Yeah, Mrs.
Friends
Woodman.
with the poetry lady.
Yeah, the country lady who is fucking Emily Dickinson. And like multiple people had written about her, like she is so crazy.
Yeah,
Oh my
like
god. How?
friend of the famous. Like that's
Right?
a cool ghost.
Emlav, I ask you how. I ask you how.
If I knew, I'd tell you.
I know. So final thoughts, Emlav. What are your thoughts on ghosts? Do you believe? Are you a believer or are you a skeptic?
Ah, gosh, like both, if that makes sense. Like I really do want to believe, but sometimes I'll probably mostly talk myself out of it because
Mm-hmm.
like if it is real, that's fucking scary. But also
Terrifying.
kind of cool, I don't know. I think it's kind of cool to think about like if there's like an afterlife that some ghosts just want to get to. Like I secretly want to be like a ghost whisperer.
Yeah, right?
I want to help.
Growing up, I wanted to be psychic so badly. So badly. Annie will tell you, my best friend. She will tell you that we both of us tried very hard to be psychic as children. It didn't pan out, sadly. But yes, I also desperately wanted to whisper ghosts.
Yeah. My friend Haley saw a medium in Salem like back in September. Like just to see if they would tell her anything that was like particularly like they couldn't have known that
Mm-hmm.
because you know like the some people might just be making like educated guesses,
Right,
but
right,
she
right.
like her grandfather had passed away and my friend Haley had recently found out that she was pregnant and these are two things that the medium like did not know, but she was like I see a man and he's holding like an older man and he's holding like something in his arms. It looks like maybe a small child. Uh
Oh.
Yeah, so, like, 2 connections were made that without any sort of, like, prior, like, probing questions that would have led to that, so, I don't know, maybe some people are more
Oh.
connected with the other realms.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. My mom, so when I was 16, I went to Salem for the first time for like, a Halloween week. It was like, maybe the second weekend in October. And I really wanted to go see a psychic. My mom wouldn't let me. And she was like kind of like cagey about it, right? And so finally I was there with one of my friends from high school, Rachel, my mom, and my godmother. And finally my mom had like walked away to smoke a cigarette or some shit. So I asked my godmother, like, what the heck is going on? And she said that my mother had gone to see a psychic in Salem who told her to make sure that their life insurance policies were all set and not to worry. And a few months later, my dad was diagnosed with lung cancer.
Holy shit.
Right? Fucking yikes.
Oh, boy.
And he did end up dying. So it's like, oh shit, you know? I
That's
don't
not like a
know.
fun thing.
I know, right? I know, but that's why she was like, it's better not to know.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god.
Good
Oof.
lord, right? Seriously, good lord.
Yikes.
Yikes. Well, on that spooky note,
What?
MLab, where else can we catch you on the internet when you're not creeping out with me?
Oh, shucks. I'm still on 2MB here and there. I was on Sleepover. I don't know if we're coming back anytime soon. I also was on Quarantine Action Wrestling. I have an in-person show coming up in December.
Ooh, tell us about that.
It's called Dirty Disney. It'll be at Laugh Boston on December 3rd. It is an improv show where we improvise parodies of some of your favorite Disney classics, but we do horrible, horrible things to them.
I love that. That's great. And wait, where did you say where would someone be able to look that up and buy tickets and be able to go to it?
Oh shucks, catalystcomedy.com or the Laugh Boston website. I believe both are selling
Uh-huh.
tickets.
All right, wonderful. Hashtag #MatLaugh.
Hashtag. Now let
Hashtag.
Turkey.
Yay! Oh my god. And me, Jess Bryant, obviously you can catch me here on the Midnight Creepout. I also do a Sunday night show called Simly the Jess, which I think is going to be winding down to some sort of finale at some point soon. And that is on Sundays at 7 p.m. You can also sometimes catch me on Monday nights for Friend Theft Auto. And I know, I imagine, yeah, hashtag Slamazon forever. And I imagine I will also end up on 69 Minutes of Sex with Me at some point, which is on every other Friday. But if you really like being creeped out, we do this show at midnight on the 2nd and 4th Friday of the month. Most months, October had 5 Fridays, and we decided to do it as close to spoopy time as possible. Made the most sense. So we will be back on November 12th at midnight, which technically is the 13th, but you know how it is. So yes, November 12th at midnight. And if you would like to have a hand in, deciding what the next topic will be, you should get on our Discord, 2MB's Discord. You want to make sure that you get on. I don't have any of the links because I'm taking my own show tonight. So it just is what it is. But you should get on the Discord and you should tell us what you think the next topic should be. And make sure, that you support 2MB in all the ways that you can. So you can support us on Patreon. You can subscribe to the channel. You can like and share and all that good stuff. I believe we still have shows 5 nights or 7 nights a week. I think it might be.
Yeah.
And most importantly, this Sunday there is a fundraiser. Oh God, the information is slipping past me, but that's okay.
Comedy for it's not comedy for cause liberation.
Comedy for a cause. Yep.
We're good.
Yeah, exactly. It's fine. So
it's a good cause. Watch it. It's on
Sunday.
Good
cause. Watch it. It's on Sunday at some point.
Halloween.
Halloween. But if you subscribe to the channel, you will get a little push notification to tell you when it starts, and then you don't even have to think about it, right? So so thank you for watching, everyone. We hope that you enjoyed yourselves. We hope that you come back at midnight on November 12th for the next episode. But most of all, Emlav, say it with me. We hope you're creeped out. Bye. Wait, hold on. I'm not used to this. Hold on. Here we go. Bye.